guys. Just making this quick video as a review for positive feedback cycles. Now, this is not to be used solely as your only study guide, more as a review and consolidation of information that you already know. So I'm not going to be writing any notes or stuff up on here, mainly just talking through the points. But for me to be able to talk through it, I need to do everybody's favourite. That's right, a drawing. Alright, so let's go. Starting from here. Alrighty, and we're back from me writing this really quickly. Don't you wish you actually had that in class, because otherwise you're actually going, taking forever and you've add stuff in. Alright, so could if I would. Alright, so what I've got here is an example of a positive feedback cycle or positive feedback loop in the human body. There's many outside the human body, but since we're in biology, I thought we'd stick to in the human body. And the only one that I can think of off the top of my head, or that I actually thought of, was all about the birthing process and pregnancy. Alright? So, as we'll find out, it's kind of the positive feedback loop is a compounding process. So if we start here with the head of the baby pushes against the cervix, then what this does is that there's nerve impulses at the end. So essentially they go via afferent nerves all the way up to the brain, and then the brain tells the pituitary gland to release oxytocin, and this oxytocin is then released into our bloodstream, and then that is transported all the way down to the uterus. Then this oxytocin then stimulates the uterus to start contracting and pushing the baby further down into the cervix, which then the baby then pushes harder against the cervix, which then sends more nerve impulses back to the brain, which then releases more oxytocin, which then causes more contractions, and this cycle keeps compounding and compounding. So eventually we have more oxytocin, the head of the baby pushes harder against the cervix until eventually we have a childbirth. So this is the one where it keeps compounding. So it doesn't actually ever get back to homeostasis. The only way it does is that the baby is born, and therefore there is no more of these nerve impulses, which means there's no longer this part of the cycle, and as a result the cycle just stops, because you need each step of the cycle for it to continue. So without this one, there's no more nerve impulses from the cervix going to the brain. Suddenly there's no more release of oxytocin, which means it stops the contraction because the baby's now out. Alright? So hopefully this little review of positive feedback cycle was helpful. If you need to go through it again, just go back to the start of the video. If not, I'll catch you in the next one.